Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video I'm bringing to you my July book haul. I managed acquiring a total of 12 books in June, and of these 12 books, the first 6 are books which I got at great deals because of some things that were happening on Amazon, and the next 6 are books which I've been meaning to buy for quite a while now, and they were also very much within my budget. So I just went forward and bought them because I know that the prices of these books are not going any low than the prices at which I bought them for some time for sure. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. The first one is a historical fiction book, if I'm not wrong. I'm saying if I'm not wrong in specific because this is actually a sequel of one of the books that I own on my shelf already, and it is Three Sisters by Heather Morris, which is a sequel to The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and that is the book that I'm reading for my book chat series that I've been doing ever since June. By the time you're watching this video, I will have started reading The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and I cannot read the blurb of this book because I have not started reading it yet by the time I'm filming this video. It is also quite huge book. You can see that it is thick, right? But it's just over 400 pages long. And between this book and The Tattooist of Auschwitz, there is the second book called Silka's Journey. I don't have that as a physical copy on my shelf, but I'm sure that it will be available on Storytel. So I can just finish the first book, listen to the audiobook of the second book, and then move on to this one. The main reason why I went forward and bought this book is because I bought it at a very cheap price. I got it for just 89 rupees, and just see how thick the book is. It is also a floppy paperback, so it's a huge win for me. I think the book is still available at the same price. I've linked all the book from Amazon in the description, so you can just go forward and check them out. If it is still available at the same price, just go forward and grab it. I'm sure it must be worth the deal. The next one is an adult contemporary book, but it is not a romance in any way, and it is Freckles by Cecelia Ahern, in which we follow our main character who has a lot of freckles on her arms, which she has inherited from her father. That's basically the naming reason for the book, and this is basically just a self-discovery journey of the main character that is narrated by the author here. One thing that I'm certain about this book is that it is going to be heartwarming in some way or the other, because I've read only 2 of Cecelia Ahern's books before, and both of them are really heartwarming in their tone. The first one is P.S. I Love You, and the next one is its sequel Postscript, which I read in the first quarter of this year. I don't think I'll be able to summarize the plot of this one without reading it, so I'm just going to read out the blurb for you guys. It is also a paperback with a French flap, which I just love. Okay, I just love paperbacks which come with this one because it just helps me support the book without bending the cover so much. So here goes the synopsis of the plot. Allegra Bird's arms are scattered with freckles, a gift from her beloved father. But despite her nickname, Freckles has never been able to join all the dots. So when a stranger tells her that everyone is the average of the 5 people they spend the most time with, it opens up something deep inside her. The trouble is, Freckles doesn't know if she has 5 people. And if not, what does that say about her? She's left her unconventional father and her friends behind for a bold new life in Dublin, but she's still an outsider. Now, in a quest to understand, she must find not 1 but 5 people who shape her and who will determine her future. Told in Allegra's vivid, original voice, moving from modern Dublin to the fierce Atlantic coast, this is an unforgettable story of human connection, of friendship, and of growing into your own skin. That sounds very sweet, soft, and also interesting because we are going to go on a self-discovery journey with the main character. And based on my experience with Cecelia Ahern's books, I think I will like this one very much. The next book is by a Pulitzer Prize-winning author, and his popular book is something which I have not read yet so far, but I want to read it very badly because the adaptation of that one is coming in Netflix, I think in November. I want to finish reading this book as well as the very popular book by him before the movie comes out, and the author that I'm talking about is Anthony Doer, and that popular book by him is All the Light We Cannot See. So the book that I've bought now is Cloud Cuckoo Land by him again. I have the audiobook of All the Light We Cannot See on Storytel, but I want to read that book physically. That's why I have not gotten my hands on it so far. So basically in this book, we follow this particular ancient text that connects 5 dreamers from across the world, and the story is narrated in a then and now format in 2 different locations from different parts of the world, and how these 5 dreamers come together in order to save the entire world from a huge peril is the actual plot of this book, or at least that's what I've got from the blurb from the back of the book, okay? It seems very promising in its tone, and if I'm not wrong, it also sounds kind of like Sense8 from Netflix. Okay, I'm a huge fan of that show because it is very super in its idea and execution. If this book is anything similar to that one, I'm sure I'll be able to enjoy it. It's also quite big, so I think it will take a bit of time for me to read this one, and if the author has done justice for the idea that is given in the back cover, I believe this will be a really good read for me. The next one is a literary fiction book, and it is The Uncoupling by Meg Wolitzer, and if I'm not wrong, this author is very popular for her literary fiction works out there. and I have not read any of her books before. Okay, I have not even heard that much about this author's books on YouTube. So I just want to go forward and read this as my first book by this author because it is very short, and I also have the audiobook of this one on Storytel, so I can listen to the audiobook and follow on with the physical copy here. If I'm not wrong, this book basically follows the small town in which all the women go on strike, and it has something to do with their partners in their life and how they are not being appreciated that well. It also has something to go with this huge play that is happening inside that particular town during this time. More than that, I don't know anything much about this book, but I believe that it will be really good because the cover of this book is itself very intriguing in its tone, and it's also very, very beautiful. You can just have a look at the cover. I thought I could read the blurb from the back of the book to you guys, but even that is very, very vague. It does not have anything extra from what I just said to you. So if you've read this book, please do let me know in the comments how it is and what I can expect from it, because I don't have much idea about what this book is and how the story is going to pan out. So let's just wait and see. The next one is the first book inside a grim dark adult fantasy trilogy, and it is also by a very, very popular author because one of his other series is a huge phenomenon across the globe, and it is Tower of Fools by Andrej Sapkowski, who is the author of the Witcher series. I watched only the first season of Witcher. I have not played any of the video games, and I have not read the books also so far, but I definitely want to read the series as a whole. Since this series is very much shorter in length compared to the Witcher, I thought of getting a taste of the author's writing from this series, and this book was also very, very cheap in its price. I think I got it for just 90 rupees or so. Again, it has kind of a convoluted plot, so I'll not be able to explain it properly to you guys without reading it. So I'm just going to read the synopsis from the back cover. Rainmar of Bailava, sometimes known as Rainavan, is a doctor, a magician, and according to some, a charlatan. Discovered in bed with the wife of a highborn knight, he must flee his normal life. But his journeys will lead him into a part of Europe which would be overtaken by chaos. Religious tension between Hussite and Catholic countries is threatening to turn into war. Pursued not only by the affronted Sturza brothers, bent on vengeance, but also by the Holy Inquisition, and with strange mystical forces gathering in the shadows, Rainavan finds himself in the Narran term, the Tower of Fools. The tower is an asylum for the mad, or for those who dare to think differently and challenge the prevailing order. But can Rainavan escape the tower and avoid being drawn into the conflict around him without losing his own mind? That sounds super dark in its tone, and it's definitely up my alley, so I'm going to read this pretty soon. The next book is a historical fiction with magical elements inside it, if I'm not wrong, and it is The Betrayals by Bridget Collins. And the first book by this author, The Binding, is one book which I've been wanting to read for over 3 years now, but for some reason I did not get around to reading that book. But I think if I finish reading this up and enjoy it, I'll go back and read that book also. In this book, we basically follow two of our main male characters who are friends as well as rivals to each other. And there's this single family which is split because of a huge tragedy. And there is this one woman who connects all these people together. And if I'm not wrong, the two main characters are friends and rivals just because of the betrayal that is given away in the title of the book itself, if I'm not wrong. Despite that, I do not know anything much about this book. Again, it's a huge book, so it will take quite a bit of time for me to read it. And from my experience with reading books like this one, especially books with covers that have illustrations like this, the prose inside the book must be beautiful, and I've heard that the writing of the author in The Binding is very atmospheric in its tone, and it will just give you all the chills that you want to experience while reading a story like that one. It's basically a book about books in which people's lives are bound into a volume, and anyone who reads that particular book that is bound can experience the life of the person whose the book is written about. That sounds very promising and interesting for me. If this book has anything like that as an element in it, I'm sure I will enjoy this one. Let's just wait and see. Next, we have two books from a same series, and this series is a collection of books that are standalones, and they depict the stories of female characters from the Ramayana and Mahabharata. Hence, they are mythology books. I've bought the first two books inside the series alone, and the series is called the Sati series. The first book is Ahalya, and the second one is Kunti, and the author of the series is Koral Dasgupta. One of you guys have been asking me to read the series for quite a while now, and I decided to go forward and start reading the series finally because the books are very short. But for the length that the books are, they are very expensive, okay? I bought each of these books for 235 rupees each, and of all the books that I've bought for this book haul, these two are the most expensive books, and they're also very, very short in their size, okay? This is the size of a normal paperback, and this is the size of these books. You see? They are very small in their size. And in these two books, we basically follow the reimagined stories of Ahalya and Kunti, or the actual life stories of Ahalya and Kunti from their own point of view, if I'm not wrong. I've heard nothing but great reviews about the series and each and every one of the books inside the series by the author so far, and I'm very much excited to read them. Since they are also very short, I think I'll be able to finish reading one book per day. The first two books are these two. The third one is that on Draupadi. The fourth one, which is to be released very soon, is the story of Mandodari. And there's one more called Tara. I don't know whose story that is, but I think that will also be released by the end of this year. And I want to appreciate the covers of both of these books. Okay, just look at the cover illustrations. They just look like Ravi Varman paintings to me. They are so beautiful. So if any of you guys have read the series, please do let me know how it is, because I'm super pumped to read this. The next one is also a mythology book and is also by an author from whom I have not read anything before, and the book is SITA'S Sister by Kavita Kane. The special thing about Kavita Kane's books is that she writes only stories about female characters from the Ramayana and Mahabharata again, who have not been sung that well by the country as a whole over the centuries that we've known about the Upanishads. In this one, we basically follow the story of Menaka, who's the wife of Lakshman, that is Ram's younger brother. Since Menaka is the sister-in-law of Sita, and we have the custom of seeing our in-laws as brothers and sisters, this book is titled Sita's Sister. I have a huge expectation on this one because I've not heard anything bad about Kavita Kane's books at all from anyone so far. I've heard only great reviews about all of her books from various different platforms over the internet. This is going to be my first book that is written by this author, and if I end up liking this, I've also found that there are multiple books by this author that is available in the Audible Plus catalog, so I might go forward and read them also. Again, this is not that much of a huge book, so I must be able to read this pretty soon, and I'm also very interested to see the story from Menaka's point of view because I've not seen that done by anyone else before, so I definitely have really high expectations for this. The next one is a classic self-help book again, and it is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This book is actually read by my brother before, and he has been continuously recommending me to read this and suggesting me to read this ever since he finished reading it. And it has also been heavily recommended by Robin Sharma in multiple of his books. I'm a huge fan of Robin Sharma's books for the extent to which they are positive, and I've also heard him raving about this book continuously, okay? Even though it's a very old book, I've heard that the writing of the book is very easy to understand. Again, you can see that it's a very short book, right? So I must be able to read this not just soon, but also get a lot of information out of it. I've been practicing meditation for over 2.5 years now, and it has definitely changed my life in a super positive way, and it has given me so many things that I wanted very badly. I just hope that this lives up to all the expectations that I have in my mind, and also all the hype that has been given to it by the people whom I trust for book recommendations. I'll also try to make a dedicated video about this book once I finish reading it. Next, we have a book or series that I'm super pumped to read, okay, because I've read 11 books by this author so far, of which 9 belong to 2 series, and I've enjoyed each and every one of his 11 books, and especially his writing is something which is very, very close to my heart. And he's also a super popular yet not that much wide-read author across the world. He is read by readers who speak his own language, but not people who are not from the Tamil language, okay? His books have been translated into English, so you can definitely go forward and read them. And I am talking about Parthiban KANAVU by Amarat Kalki. This is actually the first series or first epic series which Kalki wrote before he wrote Ponniyin Selvan and Sivagamiyin Sabatham. The order in which he wrote the books is Parthiban KANAVU first, then Sivagamiyin Sabatham, and then Ponniyin Selvan. I read Ponniyin Selvan last year and I read Sivagamiyin Sabatham at the beginning of this year, and finally I'm going to read Parthiban KANAVU. This is the Tamil edition of the book, and there's an English edition also available on Amazon. You can go forward and check it out. And I'm sure that this is going to be so much beautiful in its writing more than anything, okay? I'm going to read Kalki's books just for his writing because he has such a great and beautiful command over the language that it is super beautiful to read, at the same time not at all difficult to read, okay? Anyone who knows to just read the language can just appreciate his writing so much. So if you can't tell from the excitement in my voice, I'm more than pumped to read this one. I want to get to this and enjoy each and every small word that is written by him. The next one is a collection of short ghost stories, and it is also an Indian collection of such stories, which is Ghosts of the Silent Hills by Anita Krishnan. This is also one book which I've been seeing continuously on Amazon popping up and being recommended for me. I've been wanting to read some horror books which do not scare me that much but give me the kind of creepy vibes that they need to give. And I think our books, that is our Indian books, will be perfect for a reader like me because I like to soak into my own culture while reading any different genre, and I want to try this one for that itself. I also checked out the audiobook of this one, which is available for free in the Audible catalog again. So I'd probably listen to the audiobook and follow on with a physical copy because I know that experience will be much better compared to me just physically reading the book. I don't know anything much about this book, but I just want to go forward and give it a try. And I've not read anything by Anita Krishnan also before, so let's just wait and see how this is going to go for me. So yes guys, guys, those are all the 12 books which I wanted to show to you guys for my July book haul. And if you've read any of these books, please do let me know down in the comments how they are and what I can expect from them. And if any of these books are on your TBR already, please do let me know when you're going to read it so that we can try and read it together. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. And if you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.